It's been unreal and such a privilege, and I'm just so happy to be a part of such an amazing province and amazing country. There's nothing like it.
Welcome to episode 292 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. Talk about an action-packed few weeks that we're in the midst of, with provincials, nationals, and other championships well underway. Let's take a look at as much as we can here with the news headlines. Congratulations first off to Baseball Canada's women's national team on taking home bronze at the Women's Baseball World Cup in Thunder Bay. In particular, a tip of the cap to Albertans Cassie Matlock, Caitlin Ross, and Madison Willen, as well as adopted Albertan Zoe Hicks. We'll hear from Matlock in just a few minutes. Baseball Canada's junior national team continues to roll along at the U18 Pan American Championships. They won a thriller 4-3 over Mexico to move to 3-0 at the tourney. They were set to play the Dominican Republic just as we started recording this. That team includes Albertans Simon Baker, Eric Hartman, Dom Morgan, and Michael Yusupchuk, who threw a complete game 4-hitter against Nicaragua earlier in the tournament. Congratulations to all of the provincial championship winners as Baseball Alberta continues handing out the hardware. Speaking of, we'll have the head coach of the Baseball Alberta Elite League champion Red Deer Braves, Josh Zanolli. He's going to be on the show in just a few minutes. A shout out to Fort McMurray as they'll be hosting the Baseball Canada Cup this week. One of the players on Team Alberta this year is Easton Kitura. And yeah, you guessed it, he's going to be a guest right here on the show, also in just a few minutes. On the summer collegiate front, as we record this, the Western Canadian Baseball League season has come to a close, and the playoffs are getting underway. The first round sees the Sylvan Lake Gulls battling the Brooks Bombers, while the Okotoks Dogs face the Lethbridge Bulls. In the East, the Regina Red Sox square off the Moose Jaw Miller Express, while the Medicine Hat Mavericks take on the expansion Saskatoon Berries. We'll take a look back at the first two series and preview the WCBL Championship on next week's show. Congratulations to the Edmonton Riverhawks in qualifying for the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. The West Coast League regular season wraps up Thursday night. The Riverhawks are set to play the Bellingham Bulls in the first round starting Saturday. We'll keep an eye on the highlights and keep you updated on social media as well as here on the show next week. A big shout out as well to the Medicine Hat Junior Mavericks who are in Kingston for the National Little League Championships. They went into Wednesday's semifinals with a 6-0 record, then beat the hosts 6-0. They are set to face Ontario or BC in the final on Thursday, with the winner heading to Williamsport. Depending on when you're listening, the final may already be known. As an FYI, though, the last time an Alberta team repped Canada at the Little League World Series was Calgary back in 2001. On the pro baseball front, Vauxhall Academy grad Adam Mako continues to rehab after being placed on the 7-day injured list back on July 5th. The Stony Plain product has gone 5-4 with a 4.42 ERA and 15 starts for the AA New Hampshire Fisher Cats, striking out 86 in 77-plus innings. The legend of Tugboat continues to live out in real time. Dogs Academy and Okotoks Dogs hurler Matt Wilkinson continues to put up fantastic numbers. Now with the High A Lake County Captains, he has a 6-4 record overall with a 1.96 ERA and 19 starts. He's also among the minor league leaders in strikeouts with 144 in just 92 innings of work. And some unfortunate news for Lethbridge's Kyle Bloor. He came back from injury in July and had a rocky start with the FCL Twins. However, he did return to the Fort Myers Mighty Muscles for 3 games, going 1-1, allowing just 1 run on 2 hits while striking out 2. However, the Mighty Muscles released him on August 2nd. Now on to this week's guests, and we'll start back at the Women's Baseball World Cup, where Edmonton's Cassie Matlock got her first taste of the Baseball Canada women's national team. She played in 3 games, picking up 1 hit and 5 at-bats while driving in a run. It was nice to catch up with former University of West Alabama softball outfielder, who we last checked in with in June 2022 for episode 178 of the show. Cassie, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
How does it feel to be a bronze medalist for Team Canada?
Oh my gosh. Even just hearing you say that is so surreal. It's been such an amazing experience, and I don't even think it's really sunk in yet.
What's the whirlwind been like the last, 24, 48, 72 hours?
Oh, it's, again, so busy, so wild. Everything's just moved so fast. With us only having 2 weeks together as a team, and then all of a sudden we're bronze medalists. It's just been very quick, right? And again, I don't think any of it is really sunk in. I'm waiting for that moment for it to kind of feel real.
Mhm.
But it's been just amazing to be a part of, right?
I can only imagine. Before we get to the tournament itself, I do want to go back in time a little bit. I want to take us back to when you got that call saying you'd been invited to main camp in July. What was that like?
It was pretty cool. I had a feeling that I'd been doing really well, spending time out in Trois-Rivières with the Canada East League.
Mhm.
And, I'd kind of been going through a little bit of a slump, but I was confident in what I'd done at the start of the season and the relationships that I'd made with all the coaches involved with the league. And, having Coach Pat be involved. She's one of the assistant coaches for Team Canada. And so for her being able to see me through the whole season, you know, it, it was a little bit of a surprise with me, being that little bit of a slump. But at the same time, I was, ready for the camp and ready to do what I could to get on the team.
So you head to Ottawa, you make the final roster. How did you find out and what went through your mind?
So we got all these calls where they sent out calls, um, the week after the tryouts, and it was very nerve-wracking because there's so many of us girls that went to the tryout that were all in the same place in Trois-Rivières, small little town, spending so much time together. Um, some of us were literally playing against each other when we got calls. So some of the other girls, like Tess Hawkins, she got a call right before we ended up playing her team, the Rockies, that day. So after that first call, everybody just got so nervous, right? And calls slowly began coming out, and I didn't get anything, and then finally I had kind of just said, you know what, I'm just gonna relax. I was lucky enough to spend to get to stay in this beautiful house with a pool. So I was like, I'm just gonna sit by the pool and try and forget about it until the call comes. And actually, I was in the pool when the call came. I almost drowned trying to get off of a little floaty to pick up my phone. And so to get the call that they wanted me to join them in Thunder Bay, it was just I think I actually said, "You're kidding," when they told me.
Mhm.
So
Very cool.
yeah, it was awesome. Just so exciting, and to get to be a part of it. Oh my gosh, it's a dream come true.
I can only imagine. So then, obviously, there's that moment where you step into the dressing room and there's your jersey, there's your hat, there's your equipment and everything ready to go. What's that like? Because a lot of people I've talked to who've been able to represent Canada say it's pretty surreal. What was it like from your standpoint?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, um, we all traveled together, and like because there was a big group of us coming from Quebec to go to Thunder Bay. So, and basically everything was kind of laid out for us. We all stayed at Lakehead University for the World Championships. So we all had a floor, and there was a common area. We walk in there, and all the jerseys are laid out. And at the camp, I had worn number 24, which I thought was kind of crazy because it was the first number that I ever wore to play any sort of ball. And I never wore it again after that day,
Hmm?
after that year, I guess. And then to see them, like to have them tell me, yeah, you're going to be wearing that number for the World Championships, was just like this really neat full circle moment. And yeah, it just completely unreal to have the privilege to be a part of that and to see a lifetimes of work come full circle.
Absolutely. So you get into the tournament. It's a bit of a roller coaster. You get a win, a couple losses, and a couple of wins. Gets you into the bronze medal game. How'd you describe those first 5 games specifically?
They were a struggle, I would say. Having only 2 weeks together with the team is really tough, just to try and get the chemistry together, and even just little things like making sure the outfielders are using the same language to call a ball, and that our cuts from the infielder in the same spot. Like all of those things were really difficult. And so we spent a lot of time, focusing on those little details. And so then coming into the games, it was really interesting to try, and every game we got better. But it was very hard, having some of those games and knowing you have the talent, and and dropping a couple tough losses. Like especially we played Team USA as an exhibition game before the tournament started, and we had a really close game, and it was really exciting. And then to come into the round robin and get, have struggle a lot more was, I know, really frustrating for a lot of people, and especially like, a lot of us were just getting our feet under us still. So, it's such a short amount of time, but by the end of it, we were lucky enough to have a couple of strong wins and to go into the medal rounds with a little bit more confidence. And honestly, it felt like we had finally gotten our feet under us and were able to show what we were really capable of.
That final game, the bronze medal game, it's a tight one. I'm curious, take us into the dugout and what's the vibe like?
Oh, it was, again, I would say it was tough just because, it was all hands on deck and all of our pitchers were out in the bullpen, right? So it was kind of, we only have a 20-man roster, 9 of them were on the field, and then you've got, a good chunk of them out in the bullpen. So there was a small amount of us trying to really hold the energy and do our best. But, with the women we had on the field, like you could just feel the confidence just radiating off, especially off of the mound, like watching Sophie pitch, seeing the smile on her face throughout the whole last inning, like the tight, like super tight game, even though, Mexico was getting some of that momentum, it was just like, I almost knew that things were going to work out because of that confidence. And just, seeing everybody on the field, like you just trust in each one of your teammates. Everybody is so, so good. And, it's just amazing to be able to have people on the field that you fully trust to do every job right. Even though I wasn't able to get on the field for some of those really, important moments, I never in my mind had a doubt that the people on the field weren't going to do their jobs or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I always knew that, they were going to do what needed to be done. And so just to be able to do, fill my role and to give as much energy as I could, it was just as fulfilling to be a part of that team.
Mm-hmm. So Zoe makes that final out. Who are you going out to hug first?
Oh my gosh, I think it was just like a big mess. I like as we ran out, everybody, I think I threw my arms around like 3 different people. I think I had like Maddie and Caitlin under one arm, and I don't even know who was under my other arm. And we, all just jumping and celebrating together. I remember looking around and being like, oh, shoot, I'm in the middle of the circle.
Mm-hmm.
I want to like open this up so that we can all look at each other and really, see, like experience that moment together. So I remember like pushing my way out to the outside and just, oh man, an amazing experience.
Take us into that moment for a second. I mean, there's obviously that you had that wherewithal to take that step back and soak it in because you've accomplished something great as a team, and especially on home turf. That's got to be something pretty special.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing just to really take a deep breath and say, oh my gosh, we did it. We, despite struggling through those tough games, like, we knew that we could compete with the best of them, especially that game against Japan, like that was the moment where for me it clicked. It was like we could be the best in the world. And things didn't work out that way, but to have them work out in the bronze medal game, it was just amazing to think, wow, like we are the best, we are one of the best teams in the world. And to see that look on everybody's faces, it's something that I'm going to hold, really close to my heart for a long time.
I bet. Last time you and I chatted, we were chatting about sort of the going between baseball and softball, and you've been playing softball in the States, and you come back here to Canada, and you're making an impression on the national team for baseball here. Looking back on it, did you learn anything about yourself or maybe your game getting to play on this particular team?
I would say, it's a lot about trusting the process. Um, with me transitioning from softball to baseball, it is a struggle and there's a lot of things that you do have to learn. But to be able to come into this experience pretty fresh, like I wouldn't even say last year I had played a full season because I only played with Team Alberta. We only got a couple tournaments in and nationals, and then so to come and have this year be my first true season, um, I definitely learned that it was a very much a trust the process type of experience. Um, Again, it was a struggle for me on the fields a little bit with Team Canada, but um, knowing that I could come into this experience having only one full season of baseball under my belt, it kind of taught me that I always need to bet on myself. And I always knew, I would get my moment to get on the field, and I did get, a chance on the field, and I would have liked to have done better, but at the same time, I I felt like I came and did my job to the best of my abilities, and it's only the beginning, right? So, really, just it was very much a trust the process, trust myself type of experience, and I think I learned that more in practice this year.
Hmm. So, looking ahead now, what do you think you need to work on, or what are you planning on working on to make sure that you are front and center when that conversation happens next time around for Team Canada?
Honestly, I think it's just going to be maintaining connections and really, committing to training consistently. It is tough to be in Alberta because I've made such good connections with everybody here out east, and then being part of the national team, a lot of them are from out west. So I think a lot of it is going to be continuing to communicate with everybody and really making sure that I'm on the right path while using those connections to help support me. It can get really tough in women's sports to stay motivated and know that those opportunities are available for you, and that there are supports for you. But
Hmm.
that was one of the beautiful things about being a part of this team, is that I got to meet so many amazing people and see how, it is possible to get here and to be the best, and it's possible to turn that into a career, and it's possible to, you know, for this, my life's passion to be something that I can continue to chase. So, I mean, it was insanely encouraging to be a part of this, and so I think just staying connected to that is going to be really important for me.
Absolutely. A couple more for you before we let you go. What's next for you? I know you've had quite the jet setting last few weeks and months here, but what do you got on the agenda over the next few weeks and months now?
It's definitely going to be a little bit of a bucket of cold water type of situation. I'm lucky enough to be able to go to nationals and play with Team Alberta and really just be able to enjoy being part of a team like my hometown team type of thing.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think really that's going to be, we're going day by day. I'm lucky enough to go back to, I have a couple jobs waiting for me in Edmonton after that. And hopefully I can start to, I think hopefully we'll get it back into a little bit of coaching and see whether I can get involved a little bit more on the girls baseball side. I think would be amazing. But again, that's a lot of conversations that have to happen. And so yeah, it's a day by day thing.
Basically, what Cassie is saying right now is call me. I like how
Yeah. Yeah,
that's going to work.
exactly.
You never know
Exactly.
who could be listening to the show, right? You got to throw shameless self promotion out there when you can. So, uh,
Exactly.
that is awesome. Final one for you. I know I asked you last time around about what the game of baseball and game of softball means to you, but looking at it through a different bit of a lens now, what's it mean to you to be an Albertan representing Canada on one of the biggest stages like the Women's Baseball World Cup?
Oh my gosh, that is a very tough question. Um, oh, it's such a privilege. I'm so proud of where I came from, and I'm so proud to be from Edmonton, Alberta, and to be able to bring and showcase my character on the world stage, and all the people who helped get me there is just amazing. I feel like it's really been I'm so lucky to have the opportunity to showcase what it means to be from Alberta and from Canada, and to even just to speak to, you know, the some of the American players and the Mexican players, and even do the bare minimum communication with the Japanese players,
Mhm.
like to show them what it means to be from Canada. It's been unreal and such a privilege. And I'm just so happy to be a part of such an amazing province and amazing country. There's nothing like it.
Oh, there's been nothing like being able to catch up with you as well, Cassie. Really appreciate the time. Again, congrats on the bronze. Congrats on all the success moving into the baseball world. Continued success going forward. And again, looking forward to keeping tabs on you and looking forward to chatting with you again. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Next up is the head coach of the newly crowned Baseball Alberta Elite League champion Red Deer Braves. Josh Zanolli's squad had an interesting tournament with a win, a loss, a win, and a loss before essentially having to win out, including a triple header on the final day to beat St. Albert 17-5 in the final. We chatted with Zanolli earlier this week about the tournament and what lies ahead. Josh, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
2024 Baseball Alberta Elite League champion Red Deer Braves. How does that sound?
Sounds good. It it sure feels like we've been taking steps toward this for a few years, and it's nice to finally check that box off.
Quite the journey the team was on, specifically this year, and we'll start with the season itself. 24-12, heading into the championships. How are you feeling about the team's performance, though, heading into that?
We kind of scratched and clawed all year. We never really felt comfortable, like, oh, okay, we're finally in a groove here and playing well. We were winning games, but it wasn't always pretty, but we were finding ways to kind of get results. We lost some games that we hadn't lost games like that before, so that was a bit different. So this definitely wasn't easy at any point for this group. So they knew how to grind, that's for sure. We were grinding wins all year. So
it's funny you mentioned the word grind, and that was the first thing that came to mind. Is like you get into this tourney and you go win, loss, and it had to have been quite the roller coaster to try to ride throughout the first couple of days there.
Oh, just a full-on emotional roller coaster from Thursday night on. We get into the first game and have a game plan of how we want to use Luke Schmidt and hoping that we'd have a bit of a lead, and we come to decision time and it's 1-0 for us, and we get to decide if we want to let him continue on or try to play for the end of the tournament. And I went and had a chat with the infielders on the mound. I said, how do we want to use Schmidt? And I said, this is your guys' tournament too. And they were kind of on board, like, we got this one. We'll find a way to win. Let's get him out of here and we'll have him ready for Sunday. And so that was kind of neat. They kind of came together, found a way to win that one, and 3-2, and got off we went.
So what's your message going into that last day, that Sunday morning, knowing that you need to win out to stay alive?
We talked all year just about kind of getting to the next pitch and getting to the next play and see if we can just get something to go our way. If we make enough plays and throw enough quality pitches, we'll find a way to score. We've been fairly good offensive team all year. We definitely didn't do that at provincials consistently, but we always seem to find a way late in games to put ourselves in a position to win. And if we could just pitch and play defense like we had been, just kind of trust that we give ourselves a chance, and that's all we could do, really.
And you gave yourselves obviously a chance and continued to win going into that Sunday final against St. Albert. It's not like you haven't seen them before. It's the true 1 versus 2 matchup. What's your approach going into that game against the top team in league play?
We had a quick chat before the game, and I just reminded him, I said, we've told you all you're good enough to win this tournament, and it's right in front of you. Just got to go get it. Don't be afraid to win here. Just go and take it. And if they give us a shot, let's go get it. So you could tell they were ready to go. So
the final pitch is thrown in that 5th inning. You're leading 17-5, meaning game over. What's that pandemonium like as you're watching it all unfold?
A lot of emotion. There's some guys that have been through the heartache of this tournament for 3-4 years. Like Dom Schonsberg, this is his 4th year. We've had some tough exits the last few years. Jake Brooks, Sawyer Marshall, 3rd-year players. Definitely some emotional release and some relief and pure excitement and joy. And yeah, pretty cool to just kind of watch the kids enjoy that moment.
I was going to ask about that. Did you get that chance to maybe take that step back and kind of embrace the chaos a little bit and embrace the moment as saying, like, hey, we finally did it? You and I were talking off air about the fact that there's that heartache that comes along with tough exits, and there's kind of that sense of vindication almost that, hey, we finally got this monkey off the back kind of thing.
Well, winning is the hardest thing to do in sports. It's, and when you kind of get accustomed to winning more than you're losing, it's, these heartbreaks come, and just to kind of see them enjoy finally getting the last one is a big deal. Like, that was nice to kind of stand back close to the dugout and watch them just have that kind of release and enjoy the moment together as a group. And yeah, there's nothing better than winning.
Was there something different about this squad compared to previous seasons in your eyes?
I don't know. I think we've been pretty dang good the last few years. But this group knew they figured a way to grind, and they didn't have any easy games. We played a tough schedule, had some tough tournaments. Our league games were tough. We never really got into a roll where we won 12, 14 in a row, where we've done that in the last few years. It was always kind of up and down and having to really grind out our wins. And I definitely think that played to our advantage in provincials. We certainly grinded out every win there.
It's funny how baseball can sometimes work that way. It's almost adversity creates a stronger team down the stretch run. Is that something that you kind of felt as the games went on in that tournament? It's like, hey, maybe there was a little bit of a reason why we went through the struggles, and maybe we did during the course of the season.
Definitely. I think, adversity builds for sure. Definitely some toughness in this group. That was a challenge for them early. We didn't get off to a good start this season, and we kind of challenged their toughness to see if they can respond, and they did, and they played fantastic. Really, we played solid baseball, but just inconsistent at times, and just to put it together in that last day, give ourselves a chance in the last day, and to win 3 games in a row in one day is a big task, and they were really dang good. So.
I know picking favorite players or that kind of thing is like picking favorite kids, but at the same time, the MVP of the tournament is Jake Brooks. What did he mean to the team, especially during that tournament?
Well, he plays a big position for us. He played every game at shortstop except for the 4 games that he was on the mound, 4 or 5 games on the mound. He hits leadoff. That's a ton of reps, a ton of swings, lots of running. He's fantastic. His season was so complete. I think for the season he kicked 1 ground ball. Like in high school baseball, for a shortstop to make 1 glove error in a season it's unheard of. He made 4 total. 3 of them are throwing errors, and he hasn't kicked a ground ball since May. That's unreal consistency from a very difficult position to play. Super comfortable when the ball goes bouncing towards him. I think the rest of our group knows that. The pitchers definitely know that. And the contributions he makes at the plate are huge for us. It's not always super consistent, but when we needed one, he gives us it all the time. So.
Absolutely. A couple more for you here, Coach. Now that you're heading to Nationals to St. John's in about a week or so, how excited, first off, are you for that opportunity?
Yeah, super pumped to go. It's like a once in a lifetime for most kids. It's not like you're going to win this tournament every year and get multiple chances to go. So to get to go to a tournament of that caliber is a big deal for this group. A nice way to finish for some of these older players. For me, it's a tournament that I've been looking forward to going to for a few years now. So it's nice, and never been out east. So a chance for us to go to a place in the country that we've never been to. So.
Very cool. How challenging is it as a coach to kind of game plan knowing that you haven't seen these teams before, so you're going in blind?
Oh, super blind. And, with a different roster too, right? Like we are 4 college players, go to school, so we lose 4 players and have to pick up 4. We actually picked up 5. We replaced, we had Nathan Llewellyn on our roster all year, and he ended up doing what he did, so we replaced his spot. So we got 5 guys coming with us, and we like our roster, and we're going there to try to win some games and see if we can put ourselves in position to get into the playoff run like we did at provincials.
Absolutely. What's the key in your eyes to bringing home some hardware for this tournament?
We're going to have to pitch really well like we did at provincials and play defense, and if we can find a way to score a few runs, I think we'll have a really good chance.
You mentioned flu, and I wanted to touch on it really briefly, but in a case like that, you've got a stud behind the plate there. How tough was it on the team to lose him? Or was it like, okay, we kind of knew that was coming, and so you game plan around the possibility of that happening? Walk us through the mindset of having a talent like that on your roster, albeit for a short amount of time.
Well, I think we knew early in the year that we would lose him for some parts of the season. I don't think we kind of saw what happened in the spring kind of escalating as quickly as it did, and it's fantastic to watch and kind of get a first eye view of that whole thing was awesome. But our two catchers that we took, Owen Kumont, a first year player, was fantastic, and Kiefer Callahan, an overage player that 2 years ago made a decision at Christmas that if he was going to try to make a Bail team, he's going to have to learn how to catch. Never caught a game before, puts the catching gear on first time at Christmas, makes a team in February, and 2 years later he's leaving to go catch at Douglas Community College and play college baseball. So pretty cool story for him. Absolutely.
Looking at Flew, what made him special in your eyes, having the opportunity to coach him for as long as you did?
His hitting talent is insane. You just don't see that very often. His bat to ball skills are ridiculous. He works incredibly hard. He's just a baseball junkie. Like, you just can't get him off the field. He texts me on a Saturday. He's just finished the combine. He texts me on a Saturday, "Hey, I'll be home tonight. Can I play tomorrow?" I said, "Yeah, you're on the roster. If you want to play, go ahead. I'm not going to tell you no." So he gets back to his house at 1 a.m, and he's out in Sylvan at the park, ready to go for 8:30 the next morning. So just wants to play. Can't get enough of it. He's special talent.
How cool was it to see him get drafted as high as he did?
Feel very honored for the Fluelling family to let Jackson and I in the house that day that he got to go, and be able to be there and watch it firsthand was really cool. Never thought you'd get a chance to do that. Like, that's a once in a lifetime. Someone that and you've coached, have a chance to get drafted like that and be there for that moment. That was pretty cool.
That is pretty special. Final question for you here, Coach. We asked everybody this one. What's the game of baseball mean to you?
Baseball family, it's a big family. I still communicate with coaches that I've played for in my high school days 25, 26 years ago. The connections you make in this sport is any sport, but the connections, I think, for me is a big deal. Lifelong friendships. That's why I keep coming back. It's the people.
The people have been fantastic, much like yourself, Coach. Really appreciate the time. Congrats on all the success. Congrats on the championship. All the best in Nationals. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
And finally, don't be surprised if you hear Easton Kitura's name a lot in the coming years. He doesn't graduate until 2026, but he's already making a name for himself. Originally from the Edmonton area, he went to Vauxhall Academy and has repped Alberta on a number of stages, including this week's Baseball Canada Cup. His season won't be done after that either, as he's earned a ticket to the upcoming Canadian Future Showcase in Toronto. Easton, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. It's pretty neat experience. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
We are absolutely looking forward to it as well. Let's start here. Latest piece of news for you, getting the invite to the Canadian Future Showcase. How excited are you for that opportunity?
Yeah, I'm definitely pretty pumped up. It's something I've always kind of dreamed about and kind of hoped for this opportunity. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, it should be good.
How did you find out?
I found out from my sister through Instagram. I was in the middle of a baseball game, and she told me afterwards that I had made it. So it was pretty shocking, but I was very excited, to say the least. So yeah.
I could only imagine. I'm always curious, when you get the call for a big event like that, who are you leaning on to get that insider intel so you're not going in completely blind?
It definitely have to be my coach down at Vauxhall, Les McTavish. He definitely helps us out a lot, kind of everyone there. He's really tight with the players, so he kind of can give us a little intel and kind of give us a cheat way, I guess, of how things are going to go and that. So very grateful to have him as kind of a mentor. So
take us into your mindset going into this thing. I mean, you've got about a month and a half to kind of figure things out, maybe lean on a few players who've gone through it before to get a little bit more intel. Do you have any goals or expectations of yourself going into that?
Yeah, for sure. Just go and enjoy it, really, is my biggest kind of intel, or biggest goal, I guess, is to just go enjoy it. Kind of, you never know what could happen if you'll ever end up getting to go there again, and kind of what that experience is going to be like the next time. So just go and take it all in. Not many kids can say that they've played in the Rogers Center, right? So it's some definitely that I'll just go and have lots of fun and meet lots of new guys. So I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely. I mean, you've had a lot of those kinds of opportunities and lasted a while here. It's been a busy year, different events, different showcases, really catching the attention of scouts and baseball insiders as well. What's been key to your success as you continue to go along your baseball journey here?
Yeah, just staying driven, kind of staying level-minded, not getting too high or getting too low. The more that I kind of just stay easy and not, I guess, try too hard, the more I feel like I'm successful and enjoy the game more. And I feel like that's a big part of playing the game is you gotta like playing the game, right? You gotta enjoy it. And so I've just really enjoyed playing it. So that's kind of where I take my
Very cool.
success from. So
You're also getting some draft buzz, even though you don't actually graduate for a couple of years here. What's that been like navigating all the, whether it's social media posts or getting getting conversations with scouts, that kind of thing, trying to understand the lay of the land kind of thing?
yeah, for sure. Like I said, I kind of like try and kind of push it away, I guess, or I like to stay quite humble. I'm not really talk about myself quite often, so I often kind of undersize myself or put myself lower than I probably am. But yeah, I don't like to kind of look too far into it and just keep going as there's more to come. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the future though. So
It's
should
got
be good.
it's got to be an interesting balance that way too, right? Like you don't want to oversell yourself, but at the same time, you want to remain confident in your abilities and that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. You definitely have to have some confidence and some kind of edge to yourself where you can feel confident and feel like you are good enough to be where you are, yet not too high on kind of being arrogant in that kind of sense. So yeah, for sure.
hmm Obviously, a goal is to get drafted, but is that something that you think about regularly, or is that something that is even on your radar right now, or is it all team first? Like, walk us through the mindset as you navigate all, I'll call it noise that surrounds you and surrounds a lot of young guys now, as you've got the social media machines and all the attention that allows for nowadays.
Yeah, no, for sure. Right now, I'm not really focused on that at this point, just because I'm more focused on getting a scholarship and going off to school is kind of my big priority at this point. My parents are really big on education and that, so I kind of keep my mind at that space. And if I end up getting to that point, then it'd definitely be a dream come true. But it's something that I don't really look past or look into too much at this point, just because it's so far down the road. But yeah, it's some neat to definitely have kind of that noise around me.
For sure. And I mean, you're looking at different opportunities and you've had different chances to go and show yourself off. And we've talked off air about some of the places that you've been. But when you look back on the last few months here, and obviously you've still got some cool ones to come, but what's maybe been a highlight or two of yours so far in terms of the travels and the fun that you've been able to have on the ball field?
Yeah, I definitely have to say, going to Atlanta, Georgia, and attending the future games, that was something I'll never forget. It was a experience that I feel every young teenager, young kid in sports should go through, kind of playing under that much pressure in front of that many scouts. It just makes you a better ball player and makes you a better person just being around that many people and just kind of staying easy though and just loving it and enjoying it, not letting it overwhelm you. So yeah, it was a different ball game down there for sure. The weather definitely came into effect and was very, very hot and humid, which I'm not very used to up here. So yeah, it was good though.
On the personal side of things too, and you kind of alluded to it, as whether it's soaking it in or that kind of thing. How much of it is being able to have that opportunity to chat with your fellow athletes as well and get to know some people that you wouldn't normally get a chance to meet and see and greet?
Yeah, definitely going in, you're expecting to meet some good ball players and even better people, which is kind of like a big part of going to these events and kind of playing against the best, not only ball players, but like playing with the best people too, who all are kind of driven in the same way and have the similar goals to you. So it's neat to kind of meet different guys who are from around your area or from the same country, and they all are given this opportunity similar to you. So it's definitely a fun event to kind of get to know different guys that you wouldn't often get to know in the country. So
Absolutely. Let's go into your baseball past a little bit here, Easton. And you're originally from Spruce Grove. How did you get into the game in the first place?
yeah, so I was always a hockey player growing up, and so I never really looked into baseball. And then when I was about, I'd say 6 or 7, I had a family friend who just told us to try it out for a year, and so we went out, and I absolutely loved it. My mom wouldn't put me in t-ball because she said I would hate it because I was way too overly competitive. And so she put me right into the A or double A ball or whatever it was. And I just absolutely loved it from there. I didn't want to put the skates on anymore after that. So yeah, it was really just all baseball from there. So
Did you end up replacing any posters on the wall or that kind of thing growing up? And whose poster was on your wall?
yeah, I know for sure. Growing up, I always idolized my cousin actually. He used to play hockey and he was kind of my big mentor and how he carried himself in that. But it's kind of yeah, always been him and I really just yeah, stick to what his values are and that he kind of has been my role model growing up. So
Who's your
that's
cousin?
kind of who I go through. His name's Cameron Gruniak. He's a professional lacrosse player now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, different sport, but kind of the same values as me. So yeah,
Very cool. So talk about your values a little bit here. What's kind of 1A and 1B in your mindset?
for me, always family comes first. That's kind of my very first value. They've got me to everything, got me to wherever I am. They support me like I couldn't ask for anything better. And then I definitely have to say school. My we're big school people in my house, so we definitely take pride in our education and get into the get into the next level and kind of pursuing your career, and then definitely school or sports and baseball and that kind of area would be the last value for me. I I definitely my family always has said school first and then sports, so that's kind of where I go with my values, but that's how I yeah carry myself. So
On the schooling side of things, you mentioned the fact that you're looking to get into a big school down south, for example, or something down the line. Do you have an idea as to what you'd like to chase as far as academics are concerned?
yeah, for sure. I've always kind of wanted to stay in the sports field with afterlife, as I just love being around athletes and that, and so I want to be a sports psychologist or a physiotherapist. So kind of going into the sports medicine field is where I want to go next, and I just love learning about the body and how it works and that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting into that later on. So.
Very cool. Well, I know down in Vauxhall, they take the education side seriously as well. Thinking about that opportunity and going down there, what's that experience been like for you?
It's been unbelievable. The people there that surround you are they make you a better person to say the least. And just like the it's a small community and so everyone there is very like helpful and supportive of you. So it's something that I'll always kind of have in my back pocket is a nice little community that I can go back to. So it's I'm very grateful to have that opportunity to be there and be surrounded with all those amazing people. So
I mean, outside the game is, or inside the game is one thing. Outside the game is another, from what I've heard. What's Vauxhall taught you on that side of things?
yeah, it's just been a big community kind of thing. Like they all care about each other so much. So it's just like involving yourself in the community and helping out, whether it be events or kind of just with your billet family, kind of getting to know them and experiencing that kind of life. So it's definitely very neat.
We always talk about baseball being a game of failure. So I ask this question quite regularly of the athletes. When you think back on your young career to this point, what's been that biggest challenge or hurdle that you've had to overcome?
Yeah, growing up, I always had a difficulty with my emotions as I was a hockey goalie, and so I'd go through them a lot. But yeah, it's definitely been a learning experience and a goal that I've always had to be better at it. And the more I've grown up, the more I've kind of felt myself become better at it, and just taking that extra breath to calm myself down or just not being so hard on myself is a big thing. I've always kind of been a little too hard on myself growing up. So the more that I kind of just ease off and tell myself I'm not doing, it's not as bad as it really, you really think it is. So
For sure. I know even for myself, I have that struggle on a regular basis, so I definitely feel you there. A few fun ones for you here, Easton. What's your favorite, what's your go-to walk-up tune?
so this year it was Vampire by Tribal Seeds.
Oh, okay.
I just like the calm. It was kind of like relaxing. I'm not a big rap fan or kind of like get in that mode. I like to be more relaxed. So yeah, that was my walk up. That's kind of my go-to. So
Very cool. Let's say you're a fan at a game and you're going to the concessions. What's that food you gotta have?
oh, I gotta go with the hot dog. I'm a big hot dog fan. Yeah, I could eat tons of hot dogs if I if I had the money to. So
Do you
yeah,
have go-to toppings for those hot dogs?
I'm pretty basic. I just like the ketchup. The odd time I'll mix in some onions and that. But yeah, I'm pretty basic with what I enjoy. So
Very cool. One more for you. Who's your idol?
my idol has always been one, my cousin, and then two, it's always been my dad. I've kind of always idolized my dad and how he kind of grew up and his experience. I don't really have like a big sports idol. If it were to be in the hockey field, it would be Marc-Andre Fleury. But in baseball, I don't really have a singular idol that I kind of look up to in that. But yeah, my cousin and my dad are my two biggest idols, I could say.
So there are a couple of good ones. Couple more questions before we let you go. They're the standard ones we ask everybody here. Let's say you get to see some of those young kids. They're just starting out at Vauxhall for the first time, or they're maybe back up at Spruce Grove. They see what you're doing, and they're looking for advice on getting the most out of the program or to get on to where you are at now. What are you telling them?
Just keep working hard. Just never give up. Like you never know what can happen. However, you might hit a big growth spurt one year, something might happen down the road and you might get an opportunity. So just the harder you work, it'll finally you'll see results. So you may not see them in the immediate moment, but they'll definitely come down the road and it's really rewarding when they do. So yeah, just keep working hard and never give up and keep having fun. You gotta have fun. You can't play the game and not enjoy it. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts.
This baseball game is definitely a fun one. Final question. It's the standard one for everybody. What does the game of baseball mean to you?
Everything. It's kind of a calming period. It's something that I can get away to if I'm feeling down or whatever. I always have that for me. It's something that I can always go to when I need it, and I just love playing it. So it's a game, right? Which everyone should love playing a game. So that's my it's my kind of outlet and freedom kind of thing. So I love playing it. So
well, we've loved having you on here on the show, Easton. Congrats on all the successes and accolades. Best of luck at the future showcase and everything afterwards. Look forward to continuing to watch your journey unfold. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. It was a pleasure and something I'll always remember. So thank you very much.
Thanks again to Cassie Matlock, Josh Zanolli, and Easton Kitura for joining us this week, and thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. We look forward to bringing you a ton of great conversations in the weeks ahead as more championships get decided, and then, of course, the aforementioned Canadian Future Showcase coming up in September. Make sure to hit subscribe in your app, and if you don't mind, leave us a rating and review to help spread the word about ADS. Before we let you go, a massive shout out to our Platinum supporters, the Okotoks Dogs, Under the Lights Sports and Entertainment, and the Western Canadian Baseball League for all they do for us and for baseball in Alberta. For more info on all of our incredible teammates, head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.